President Trump is expected to deliver remarks today on rolling back Obama-era regulations to help improve every American's quality of life. Joining us now to talk more about today's event is Treasury Department's Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Monica Crowley. Hi, Monica. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to have you on today.
Good morning, Lily. Great to be here.
Thank you. So, President Trump is set to provide an update today on his efforts to conduct historic regulation. What can we expect to see coming out of the White House today?
Well, regulatory relief has been a critical part of President Trump's pro-growth economic agenda from the very start. And in fact, that's been critical to delivering the booming economy that we saw pre-COVID. So the regulatory relief agenda continues, and you will see at today's White House event that the president remains committed to rolling back burdensome regulations on America's businesses of all sizes. I also want to point out that the pro-growth economic policies, again, which regulatory relief was a critical part, remain in place. So as we're safely reopening this economy, that, as well as the tax cuts, freer and more reciprocal trade deals, and unleashing the energy sector, those things are all still in place and are now beginning to kick back in as we're reopening this economy.
Now, Monica, as you mentioned, President Trump has long made cutting red tape a focus of his administration. So are we going to possibly get an update on the progress from the regulatory relief executive order we saw signed in May?
Yes, I believe that we will, and we will see that businesses of all sizes have been liberated from this kind of burdensome government red tape, and that they flourished pre-COVID. And now, again, as we safely reopen this economy, these regulatory relief initiatives are kicking back in and will support the economy going forward.
So we also heard Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell just this week talking about a targeted stimulus bill. What can you tell us? What will that new targeted bill look like, and who can we expect to see qualify this time around?
So there is a consensus in the administration on Capitol Hill that additional economic assistance is needed for America's workers and businesses as the pandemic continues and as we work on vaccines and therapeutics. And I don't want to get in front of the president or the Treasury Secretary or the congressional leadership on these negotiations, which will begin next week. But what's been publicly stated is that there is an interest in another round of stimulus payments, another round of PPP funding for small businesses, as well as perhaps a compromise on extending unemployment insurance benefits and liability protections for hospitals, businesses, healthcare workers, and schools. It's critical that we get our kids back into the classrooms starting in the fall, and there is some conversation happening about additional assistance to state and local governments in order to assist schools in safely reopening.
Very important there. Also, as you mentioned, unemployment. We saw the jobs report come out this hour with millions of Americans out of work and their employers also struggling. How can we expect to see the cutting of regulations help them to get their feet back on, also get back on their feet, that is, while many states are now starting to reimpose restrictions?
Yeah, so this virus has proven to be quite resilient. And in the areas of the country where it's reared its head once again, we have seen governors taking certain measures, including imposing new restrictions on certain businesses and certain activities. And there's no question that those new restrictions might have an impact on the economic recovery. So again, the pro-growth economic policies that worked so well and delivered an unprecedented economic success pre-COVID remain in place, and that includes the tax cuts. That includes the regulatory relief, which we've just been talking about. Keep in mind that USMCA, fair, more reciprocal trade deal with Canada and Mexico, that kicked in just about a week and a half ago on July 1st. So we'll see huge benefits to America's workers, ranchers, businesses, and farmers. So all of these things will be in place and moving forward, again, as we safely reopen the economy and as the public health side of the equation also sorts itself out in terms of therapeutics and movement to a vaccine.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.